The winds of transformation are blowing through Enugu State as the government takes another bold step towards realizing its aviation vision. In a significant development, the Enugu State government has officially taken delivery of yet another aircraft, adding to its growing fleet under the ambitious Inugu Air project. This latest acquisition comes barely 2 weeks after the first aircraft touched down in the coast city, marking the symbolic and operational commencement of the state's air transport network. With the arrival of this second aircraft, the Enugu Air project is clearly gathering momentum, moving from aspiration to tangible reality. The initiative, spearheaded by the current administration, is aimed at repositioning Enugu as a regional aviation hub, connecting the southeast to major commercial cities across Nigeria and beyond. According to government sources, the project is not just about prestige, it's about boosting trade, tourism, and investment opportunities while creating jobs and making Enugu more accessible than ever before. As the state prepares for the official takeoff of commercial operations, excitement continues to build among residents and stakeholders who see this as a bold step into the future. The aircraft are expected to begin test runs and regulatory clearances in the coming weeks, ahead of full passenger services. Indeed, the skies over Enugu are opening up, and with each landing and takeoff, the dream of a connected, modern, and prosperous Enugu is becoming a reality. Stay with us for more updates on this unfolding aviation story. Big moves are happening in Enugu State, and it's not just about infrastructure. The newly unveiled Enugu Air is taking flights quite literally, and the state government is on a recruitment mission across Nigeria. If you've ever dreamed of being part of an airline crew, this might just be your shot. The Enugu State government has officially begun recruiting cabin crew members and ground staff for its state-owned airline, Enugu Air. In an announcement made by Dan Wome, the special assistant to Governor Peter Amba on media, the state is setting up interviews in 3 major cities across the country to attract the best talents for its aviation dream. Here's the schedule. Enugu Oranto Hotel, April 29th, 10 a.m. Abuja Peace Media Hotel, April 23rd, 10 a.m. Lagos, number 7 Oduduwa Crescent, GRA Ikeja, April 25th, 10 a.m. But here's the catch. Only applicants who have been pre-selected and contacted will be interviewed, so don't just show up uninvited. While Enugu Air is gearing up for takeoff, another aviation story has grounded flights in the region. The federal government has announced the temporary closure of the Akanu Ibiam International Airport in Enugu starting April 22nd to May 6, 2025. Why? A serious rupture has been discovered in a critical section of the runway and is bad enough to halt all landings and takeoffs. Obiageli Ora, the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection of FAAN, explained that the closure is a safety-first emergency move. Repairs need to happen, and fast, to avoid any aviation accidents. Both Air Peace and Akanu Ibiam Air have already suspended flights to and from Enugu. Passengers are being advised to make alternative arrangements through Lagos, Abuja, or nearby airports. If you are already booked, airlines say they will be contacting affected passengers directly. Yes, it's an inconvenience, but the safety of travelers always comes first. And just so you know, FAAN admits the announcements came late, and they have sincerely apologized to all travelers and stakeholders affected. So there's a very interesting story that's brewing right now online, and it's one that I think that everyone should keep an eye on and get fixated with. I actually followed that story some few days back. I didn't know it's going to come up to the head with the way and manner netizens have shredded that story, and it has actually elicited some reactions from the federal government. I'll tell you what the federal government reaction is, but then let's tell you what the story is. The recent decision, apparently, to concession the Akanu Ibiam International Airport Enugu for a staggering 80-year term has ignited heated conversations across social media platforms, particularly on X, formerly known as Twitter. What's raising eyebrows isn't just the unusually lengthy concession period, it's the sharp contrast when compared to other major airports across Nigeria. For context, Lagos, Abuja, and Kano airports were concessioned for relatively shorter durations ranging from 20 to 30 years. So why does Enugu, a smaller airport in terms of volume and infrastructure, get locked into an 80-year deal? One particularly vocal public commentator, Kalu Aja, has taken it upon himself to raise critical questions on the matter. Kalu went further than most netizens by conducting a quick background check on Aero Alliance, the company reportedly awarded the concession. According to his finding via the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, the company does not appear to be registered in Nigeria. That discovery alone has sparked serious concerns about the transparency and due diligence behind this deal. Yes, it has. Kalu is now calling on the Minister of Aviation to urgently address the following key questions. There are key in the sense that he sat down and carved out these questions, and most people have said they're quite germane questions. Number one, the concessionaire is the who. Who are they? Are they registered in Nigeria? Who are the promoters? Number two, how was the Aero Alliance Consortium chosen? The Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, ICRC, in Nigeria, under the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission Establishment Act 2005, outlines specific requirements for airports projects to be concessioned through public-private partnerships, which include competitive bidding process. All concessions or PPP contracts must undergo a competitive bidding process to ensure fairness and transparency. The bidder with the most technically and economically sound submission is chosen. Did this happen? The other question, technical expertise. Private sector expertise bidding for airport concessions must demonstrate requisite technical expertise and experience in developing, operating, and managing airport infrastructure, including international airport and cargo terminals. Again, who is the Aero Alliance Consortium? Number three, financial capacity. Bidders must provide evidence of financial capacity to undertake the concession. And of course, a minimum of worth 30 billion naira, or approximately $72 million, depending on exchange rate, should be provided. And a bank should also guarantee them in case of any defaulting. So the question goes, why 80 years tenor? Other airports in Nigeria have 20 to 30 years tenors. Is the free trade zone, the next question, at the Akanu Ibiam International Airport covered under this concession? And why is the Nigerian government responsible for projected revenues if the project fails? Projected revenues for 80 years? Versus Kayamo, he added, ICR, CNG, we would require or appreciate answers to these questions, he writes. So this has elicited a lot of reaction. I'm not going to go into that reaction though, but I would first want to basically read the response by the Ministry of Aviation regarding this development. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has ascribed reports in some sections of the media about concessioning of Enugu Airport as unfounded and untrue. The minister, in a statement issued Monday by his special advisor on media and communications, Tunde Moshood, said it is true that the federal government was considering proposals for the concession of 5 major airports to ensure the facilities meet and maintain international standards, given the increasing financial demands of their operations. He added that many of the country's airports are presently running at a loss, so they have to be subsidized each month by the federal government. Kayamo said it was noteworthy that the initiative to concession started from previous administrations. The statement said, quote, our attention has been drawn to certain online report stories suggesting that a certain lengthy period of concession has been agreed upon regarding the Enugu International Airport. These reports are utterly baseless and untrue. At this stage, prospective concessionaires have indeed submitted various proposals, including different durations for the concession. It is important to emphasize that the Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development has not established any fixed duration.
All submitted proposals are currently undergoing thorough investigation or evaluation that will eventually be reviewed by the ICRC before it is presented to the Minister for Conveyance to Federal Legislative Council for approval. We can confirm that this review process has not been concluded. That's what the statement reads in part. But again, let me also bring to you the report that Daily Sun also did. It did it actually before this particular statement came out. It's crazy because this thing is coming to a head. It's actually quite confusing when things like that pop up everywhere. They do. So the headline as obtained by Daily Sun says, the federal government is currently finalizing negotiations with Aero Alliance Consortium to concession the Akanu Ibiam International Airport, AIIA, in Enugu for an 80-year period. A draft contract obtained by Daily Sun, reveals the details of the public-private partnership agreement, which makes provisions for airport upgrades, the handling of existing Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAA, and staff revenue sharing, among others. Clause 5.1 of the 64-page document, which was analyzed by Daily Sun, addresses the very crucial issue of the current FAA and employees at the airport. According to the agreement, all existing airport staff will be transferred to Aero Alliance with their full benefits for an initial period of 24 months. There would be no forced redundancies, and afterwards, any member of staff deemed redundant after any restructuring will be reabsorbed by the federal government, which will retain responsibility for their pension and gratuity payments. The concession duration is an initial 80-year term, which will commence upon effective date, and an option of 20 years extension based on performance. There are also early determinations clauses for non-compliance. So for you to have a draft contract, I mean, you must have gone through all the papers, you must have spoken about it. So drafting of the contract would also be okay. It's time to sign, and then we sign and go. So this is what Daily Sun is reporting as it regards to this development. Now, things are out of the cards, because again, we have seen how people who bid for processes go out of their way in sponsoring stories on newspapers. It is not far from the fact that it's possible that the Aero Alliance guys may have sponsored this story to play on, and so that to mount pressure on those who are also on it to hands off, or to mount pressure on the ministry to give it to them. It's a possibility. It's also possible that the ministry have seen the backlash. They have accepted everything. It's just to sign, but they've seen the backlash, and then they are trying to retrace their step by saying that the discussions are still on. It is also possible that, they are going to say this in order to reduce the tension that this has generated. So because they know that Nigerians have short memory, once something big comes out, once another story pops up, they tend to forget, and then they quickly sign and get off it. Because again, how many things has the government signed that, had us approve? When they signed off on the vehicles that was to be bought for the State House of Assembly members, the Federal House of Assembly members, the Senate and the House of Rep members, were you consulted? Even when your constituents say no, would they have said no? Would they have stopped buying it? When the government wanted to buy a yacht, and we're back and forth about it, didn't they say they had already bought it? It's just that it's the money that was supposed to have paid. That's what the people were asking for. Borrowing, even borrowing, we've seen places and periods where government would borrow money even without the Senate approval. They just go borrowing money without Senate approval. They just go buying things without Senate approval. The Senate just, plays catch up, so to speak. That's what happens. So when you see these kinds of debunking coming up, people become circumspect. Like, okay, this one that just accepted that they are still talking about it, so they will go back and reduce it. It's possible that after maybe a few months, they see that Nigerians are no longer talking about it. They just quietly sign it, and they will probably not even speak about it again the next time you are going to be seeing things is probably when you land in Akanu Ibiam International Airport in Enugu and you see totally different people managing it, different faces. And maybe the ambience would have been different because as a private firm, you would want to make the airport a little bit attractive and much more genuinely fantastic than, what is obtainable. So,
welcome. This is Cheesy Media Empire. So let's just tell you what's going on. The Enugu State government has just received another batch of the CNG powered buses. A fresh batch of the compressed natural gas CNG powered buses has arrived in Enugu State just in time for the Easter celebrations. This marks the second phase in the rollout of the state government's cleaner, more affordable public transport initiative aimed at cushioning the impact of the fuel subsidy removal on residents. The new arrival comes less than 2 weeks after Governor Peter Amba received the first fleet of 150 CNG buses, signaling a significant and accelerated shift in Enugu's urban mobility system. With the addition of the second batch, the government is positioning the state for a transformative leap in its public transportation architecture. Speaking of the developments, officials say the ultimate goal is to drive down the cost of commuting within the metropolis and nearby towns, particularly for low and middle income earners who have been hardest hit by the rising cost of petrol. But the state government is not stopping at CNG buses. Governor Mba's administration has also announced the plans to introduce electric taxis by next year, a move that will further reinforce the shift to clean energy transportation and drastically cut transport costs for residents in the long run. Despite the optimism, the transition has stirred concerns among stakeholders in the transport sector. Some fear that the influx of government-subsidized buses and future electric taxis could displace traditional commercial drivers and lead to significant job losses. However, in an exclusive interview on Signature TV earlier this week, the special assistant to the governor on research and publications, I actually had that interview with him. I was asking him clearly whether he thinks that these new buses, there are fears in town that these new buses will displace a lot of drivers and will cause more job losses. He apparently dismissed those concerns. He assured that the state government has designed the transportation overhaul to be inclusive, with plans in place to absorb existing transport workers through retraining, stakeholders partnerships, and structured involvement in the new transport ecosystem. Let's listen to him.
Keke and minibuses will be banned eventually.
No, Keke and minibuses are not going to be. In fact, there is no plan to ban Keke and mini buses by the state government. Okay. But again, the government is remodeling and restructuring the transport sector. So, and we have trunk A route, trunk B, C, and co. So now what happened is that with the remodeling of the transport infrastructure project, TIP, so Keke may ply on certain routes, CNG on certain routes, or taxis on certain routes. So this does not pose threats,
to the business of the
Keke and mini buses.
Okay, so they'll be restricted to some routes.
If you travel to United States of America, or even say Russia too, because Australia, just measure, you see how the transport system works. The transport systems are. So that is what the governor is bringing down to Enugu. There is going to be sanity in this transport system. So when you are going to maybe from this place to Independence Layout, you know that this is the vehicle you are going to board. When you are flying inside the street, okay, this I'm going to board Keke from. So everything is going to be streamlined.
For those who have been asking, why did the government of Enugu State not patronize Innocent Motors with the purchase of the CNG powered buses? Enugu State Governor Dr. Peter Amba has finally addressed the burning question on many lips: why the state government didn't purchase compressed natural gas CNG buses from Innocent Vehicle Manufacturer IVM, Nigeria's homegrown automobile company based in Nnewi. In a recent statement delivered by Prince Josh Eja, he's a special advisor to the governor on research and publications. The governor emphasized that governance is not just about patronage but about getting the best value for the people. According to him, the decision was purely based on competitive pricing and service quality, a move that he insists is in the best interest of Enugu residents. So let's listen to him. We have to leave it here. Maybe on another day, we're going to talk about Inugu Air. Some people have been complaining about the fact that why didn't the state government patronize Innocent for this kind of CNG buses? Because Innocent produces these kinds of buses. Why do they have to import, that kind of thing? So I don't think we have much time. My producers have been saying that we have just 2 minutes. I don't know if you can speak to that. Just if you have 1 minute to just wrap up.
Okay, thank you. The administration of Governor Pitamba, let me make it very clear, believes in local content. Because when you look at almost all the projects that this administration is doing, most are driven by local content, local contractors, and because this is how you empower your people. And again, the CNG buses, yes, the administration had actually patronized Innocent before, but you also look at we are talking about competition. You don't, there is no economy that will thrive on monopoly.
Absolutely.
Well, yes, and that is one of the problems we wanted to have recently in the
oil sector.
Yes, oil sector. Yes, when a few people to monopolize the market. The market should be open up for competition. So if you know you can survive, you play on. You bring your price, the other people bring their prices, and they compare notes, right? And people who are bringing this investment into Enugu State are also local people, So we don't throw them out because of emotion. The state has patronized Innocent and also patronizing other people. People who are working with these buses are our people, right?
Absolutely.
So they are our people. We also have to patronize them if their prices are good and if they give us offer that you don't say maybe you are selling 1 million naira and we are getting 200,000 naira. The same product, because of emotion, we go for that of 1 million naira. No, we are talking about a competition. So give us the best, and we patronize you, and we'll be patronizing Innocent. When you also look at some of the security vehicles, you see Innocent, right?
So we have heard from Prince George, who is the special advisor to the governor on research and publication. He also clarified that Governor Mba has in fact engaged Innocent Motors in other significant areas, particularly in the supply of security and operational vehicles for various state agencies, proving that the state is not ignoring local manufacturers. However, critics have raised counterpoints, and they're asking, wouldn't paying a premium to support a local manufacturer like Innocent lead to a long-term benefits such as job creation, increased production capacity, and industrial growth? Well, if you ask me, that argument is very valid, holds a lot of water, and of course sparks a lot of debates. And the question is, should value for money always come before economic empowerment? So what do you think? What's your thought? I will be in the comment section. I would really love to hear from you. Let's speak to these issues, because again, a government, we have a governor who now sees government and runs government like business. I mean, when you are a businessman, you want to go for the best price for what is gained. If person A brings a quotation and says 30 million naira is what I would take for this, person B comes and says I would take 25 million, and maybe person A would produce this particular thing in Nigeria, and the other person says it's going to import the other particular equipment, but it's going to be for a lower price. Where do you go from here in terms of the pricing and what it cuts across and what it entails? So what do you think? And then other people will argue that, look, even if you pay more, all right, if you pay more to a local manufacturer, you are increasing their capacity. You're also helping them grow their business, and beyond that, you're also keeping money here. We've always cried about spending monies and making other people's countries better than ours by paying premium, paying a lot of monies to foreign companies, and thereby sending jobs there. Whereas we have companies here who can do the same thing, and then when we pay these monies to these local companies, we can then increase our capacity, and then grow our economy, and then also employ people. This argument has been on for a while now, and it's something that we really need to speak about. So, where is the place of growth for the economy versus cheaper prices? So the questions remain. Should value for money always come before economic empowerment? What do you think? What do you make of it? I want to hear from you, really. I mean, it's something that I'm really interested in what you have got to say regarding this development. Do you think it is right to pay premium to a local manufacturer to grow our economy in the long run, or to pay something lower in order, of course, for something that is better for the state and for the people of Enugu, is spending much more, or spending less for the same value you would get? What do you think? I mean, there are people who would argue that was what China did. They said to themselves, look, they are closing down their economy. If they cannot produce or manufacture something, then they don't need it. So whatever they needed, they went as far as making sure that they produced. So do we have the capacity to do that now? Some people would also argue, does Innoso also have the capacity to produce 200 buses? Have they done it before? And their vehicles, are they durable? Are they better than these ones that have been imported from outside the country? These are questions, raging questions, and I don't want, when you argue, I don't want you to just face one particular issue. Now, I've spoken about so many things, the factors around these particular issues. All right, so I want some interesting discussions on this. Let the argument be very, very interesting. Let it come from a place of greatness when it comes to a proper argument that can hold water anywhere. All right, I would love to have those discussions and those arguments right on the comment section. I'd love to hear from you on the next one. All right, see you later. See you in the comments.
True. So the next phase of this discussion would be about the fear that comes with the this 300 buses that will be eventually get on the road, because again, I know since it's going to be cheaper, what we have in terms of other transportation means, the minibuses, the keke, run on fuel. So people are scared that they're going to lose jobs. There are also rumors about the banning of these vehicles from our city. Maybe some say they will be restricted to some areas. So is the government also looking in that direction? If people who know that the buses are cheap and then they follow the buses, it means that the guys who drive on mini buses and keke will be totally be out of jobs.
Thank you for this question. Let me reassure the people of Enugu State that nobody is going to lose any job, but an economy thrives on competition, right? An economy thrives on competition. So any economy that does not compete internally, we soon witness entropy, implosion. So, and what, like I said earlier, what this administration is doing is for the people of Enugu State. The people of Enugu State gave their mandate to Governor Peter Mbah, and Governor Peter Mbah is only answerable to them by making their day-to-day living meaningful, affordable, raising their standard of living, So, and again, it's just like when the governor commissioned in, I think, November 25, 2023, when the governor commissioned the water program or water project at 9th Mile, the state started producing 120 million liters a day. So most of these tanker drivers were, afraid about losing their jobs, and governor said no, that none of them was going to lose their job. They should have to be creative. They should have to think outside the box. So, and that is the messaging to these keke riders and bus drivers that depend on fuel. They have to think creatively and think outside the box. The joy of every thriving economy is a competition. So nobody is going to be. And again, let me also say this. The governor is trying to create jobs. So you won't see maybe the governor trying to create job and at the same time trying to push other people out of. No. Want to create enough job, even get more people coming to Enugu to come and take job. Now, remember that we still have more employment to be made, right? Because the 260 smart schools in the state, they will also have these CNG buses.
Oh,
yes,
really?
That is the plan of the governor. In fact, if you get to the pilot the campus of the Smart Green School, you see that it has, I think, 1 or 2 coasters, for the school. So the governor has a huge plan for education, and some drivers who feel that they are no longer, they are becoming redundant, maybe because of the transport structure, the affordability of the CNG buses, can be trained and absorbed into the system. And again, the over 2,000 taxis that are going to be rolled out.
Oh, really?
Also, yes.
2,000 taxis?
Over that. Oh. The governor has promised that taxis are coming to, I don't know, there is this electric vehicle trending recently.
Yes.
Actually, people have been trending that about, so it's just an insight of what is going to happen.
On the federal government to bring back the proposal and approve state police.
Nigeria is bleeding from the creeks of the south to the plateaus of the north. Communities are under siege. Bandits, terrorists, unknown gunmen every other day. Lives are lost. Families are displaced. And the question many Nigerians are asking is, when will it end? One solution has kept coming up: state police. The governor of Plateau State recently told his people, defend yourselves, a chilling but honest reality. Even General Theophilus Danjuma once said the same thing. Nigerians must not sit and wait for security that isn't coming. Now, former military administrator of Old Anambra State, Admiral Alison Madwike, has added his voice to the chorus calling for state police. He made that call in Oji River during an economic summit hosted by the local government chairman. According to him, centralized policing is no longer working, and honestly, he's not wrong.
On the federal government to bring back the proposal and approve state police. The state police structure is inevitable. I used to be a governor, but I was lucky. I was a military governor. I could call the Inspector General of Police and I tell him I want this. I could call my commissioner in the state and tell him this should be done. But I pity the governors today. They are labeled and designated as chief security officers of the state, and yet they don't have any control of the police, not to talk about the army. So they are helpless. Members, senators, let us push for a state police. so that governors can take responsibility for the security of their own people. In the last 2 weeks, it's been resonating everywhere. Governors turning to people and saying, defend yourself. Defend yourself. If a governor says defend yourself, you know what it means? Loss of control. Get armed. Before you know it, we're turned into a banana republic.
So the big question is this: what exactly is the Nigerian government afraid of? Why haven't we passed legislation that gives states the power to create, control, and finance their own police? Supporters of state policing believe it will localize security, put it in the hands of people who understand the terrain, the language, and the culture. It could mean faster response time, better intelligence, and less bureaucracy. Governors would no longer be begging the Inspector General of Police in Abuja for permission to deploy officers during emergencies in their own states. But critics of the state police have their fears too. They say it could be abused by governors, used to suppress opposition and enforce political agendas. They warn that with Nigeria's fragile unity and ethnic tensions, state-controlled police could deepen division. Yet, is the current system working? Can we truly keep using the fear of abuse as an excuse to avoid reform while innocent citizens continue to die? Nigeria is at a crossroads. The security structure we inherited from colonial times is outdated. The world has changed, the threats have evolved, and people are tired. It's time for bold decisions. It's time to ask the hard questions. What is really stopping the federal government from allowing state police? Is it fear of losing control or a refusal to share power? We want to know what you think. Is state police a way forward or a potential disaster waiting to happen? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Subscribe for more grounded conversations on Nigeria's future. The Enugu State government has signed a landmark Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) with Lion Business Park Limited to establish a world-class industrial and commercial hub within the Enugu Industrial Park Free Trade Zone, a strategic step aimed at boosting the state's GDP from $4.4 billion to $30 billion. Governor Peter Mbah, speaking at a brief event on Tuesday at the government house in Enugu, announced that the project would leverage the incentives of operating within the free trade zone to attract foreign direct investment. He added that the initiative would promote human capital development, stimulate innovative solutions and innovation, technological advancements, and create employment opportunities, contributing to shared economic prosperity for Enugu State, the Southeast region, and Nigeria as a whole. Governor Mbah emphasized that the industrial hub aligns with his administration's economic blueprint, which aims to expand the state's economy and position Enugu as Nigeria's leading destination for investors. He further said that the state's proposed exponential growth could only be possible with investment deals such as the one executed with the Lion Business Park. The governor highlighted that the location of the park was carefully chosen based on strategy, innovation, and due diligence by a team of economic experts in the administration.
Gratitude for today, and I also want to quickly put on record that today is a very historic day for us here in Enugu State, because what we have come here to do today and what we will soon witness, which is the Memorandum of Understanding, and what in my opinion is actually an agreement between us and the investors, culminating into what is of course the Lion, the special purpose vehicle, the Lion Business Park. We want to say that when we talk about growing our economy exponentially, this is a typical example of what could take us to the sort of growth projections that we have made. Our blueprint in Enugu is very clear. Grow the economy, make Enugu #1 destination for business and living, and of course eradicate poverty. And these are all inextricably intertwined. And we know that that growth is going to come from the private sector. The growth of a $30 billion economy in the next 6 years would come from the private sector. And ours is not just to create an environment for private sector to thrive. It's also trying to innovate, to see how we can work with the private sector, see how we can help de-risk the investment flow, to see how we can also have our skin in the game where it becomes necessary in order for the private sector to succeed. And that is an example of what is taking place today, where the Enugu State government has committed to increase their stake in this going concern by providing all the necessary infrastructure that is required in order for this business park to become functional and fully functional. And we see the business park as food that is already made. Because if we were going to start, even as a government, to build a business park, we know what it will take. Even the process of just procuring your licenses, getting the free trade zone license, getting the dry port license, because we have an inland port also at the Lion Business Park. And it is strategically located, less than 3 hours from One, a major seaport, less than about 2 hours to Asaba, and about less than 25 minutes to an international airport here in Inugu. You couldn't ask for a business park at a better location. Right? So we are poised to ensure that we attract the best of the best industries to Enugu, and all the things that are required, electricity, water, paved roads, would all be provided because we're now working together as partners. We also want to commend the various communities for their show of support. We are going to continue to count on that support. We pride ourselves in Enugu as a state that is business friendly, and we must seen as such. That means that the ease of doing business in Enugu should be taken for granted. We do not want tensions from communities. We do not want prolonged time to get your approvals, whether it's for construction or anything. So that is what we are, and that is who we are in Enugu, making sure that you identify Enugu as your premier destination for investment. And we're going to always go the extra mile to make sure that that happens. I do not want to speak more about the business park. The CEO had already said a few things, but just as I said, it's a hub. It's an already made hub for commerce, for trade, for investment, and for business.
The project's success. Earlier, the chairman of the firm, Dr. Okechukwu Mbonu, commended Governor Peter Mbah for his visionary leadership, remarkable developmental strides, and the notable achievement of his administration within a short time in office. Speaking on the objectives of the partnership, Mbonu stated that the company is committed to developing an industrial and commercial hub that will stimulate trade and industry, drive economic growth, and generate employment opportunities for the youth.
And we are here to sign a very, very important memorandum of understanding with Enugu State government, whereby Enugu State government is increasing its stake in the Lion Business Park project from currently 15% to 45%.
There's no doubt, sir, that the Lion Business Park is very strategic in the economic development of not just Enugu State, but as well the Southeast.
And Africa.
And Africa as well.
Yes.
I wouldn't know, do you perceive some level of challenges in the course of running the Lion Business Park, sir?
Well,
that may serve as a hindrance?
No. In that respect, no. Because a Lion Business Park can be located anywhere as long as it is conceptualized properly. And remember, we are going to have also a port here. You know, that's the dry port. That's what it's called. And for those who don't know, the Lion Business Park is actually a special part of a country. It's an international agreed trade agreement with all parts of the world, where it's taken to be not to be part of the Nigerian customs area. In other words, if you put out any, call it a container or anything that you want to ship out, and the destination is Lion Business Park Enugu, then it is going to come straight into Lion Business Park Enugu. And there, because we'll have a customs office and everything within that investment. So you can imagine a company that can bring in all the components for manufacturing, tax-free, duty-free, and put them together. It's only then, if you want to export it outside Nigeria, duty-free, tax-free. It's only when you want to now move it back into Nigerian customs that you now pay a reduced tariff because of the value add, the fact that you assembled it here.
So how soon is this going to kick off in earnest?
Well, what I can say is that with the kind of dynamic governor you have now, and the appetite of the government to take even more shares, you can definitely see an accelerated development. And for that we are grateful to the government of Enugu State and the people of Enugu State, because this is going to translate into massive, massive industrial development for the Southeast. And recall that also within the Southeast, and I say that because I'm from the Southeast, we have a DNA for manufacturing and trading. And so with this, what this government has done in one swoop is to catalyze that growth. Thank you very much.
Bono also urged the business community, private sector leaders, and global investors to seize the unique opportunities to Park aims to offer and become part of Enugu's unfolded economic revolution. In other developments in Enugu, Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mba, has decorated his Chief Security Officer, CSP Alex Akinlalu, with his new rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police. Taken to his verified X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram handles, Peter Mba on Wednesday, the governor shared, quote, "Today I had the honor of decorating my Chief Security Officer Alex Akinlalu with his well-deserved new rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police, assisted by the Enugu State Commissioner of Police, CP Mamangiwa. ACP Akinlalu is a disciplined, strategic, and exceptionally dependable officer whose commitment to duty continues to stand out. His professionalism, loyalty, and excellence are commendable. This promotion is not just a recognition of his service, it is a testament to his impeccable track record and leadership acumen. Congratulations, ACP Akinlalu," he wrote. Meanwhile, the Enugu State government on Wednesday met with leaders of the Agwawa community ahead of the relocation process of the residents as part of government's big plan to clear all slums in Enugu City by the end of 2026. At a meeting which held at Government House, Enugu, government said marking of property owners at Agwawa would begin on Friday, 25th April, while a 2-week deadline set for the submission of title documents to the Office of the Secretary to the state government would commence on Monday, 28th April. While making clarification on the verification process, the Commissioner for Housing in the state, Dr. Martin Chukwuike, however, noted that simply submitting property documents would not be enough for the verification. He said that each property owner would stand with the documents in the said property for eye marking. The verification process will go beyond submitting property documents. We want to do physical verification. We will do eye marking. You stand before the property and we ascertain the property, the size, the documents you have. If it is certificate of occupancy or not, then the government will decide the property that is conducive to stay and the one to go. Godamba plans that there will be no slums in Enugu City by 2026. That is why this exercise is important. The governor said he will help those who have issues with the title, because if you do not have a valid title document, you cannot be entitled to relocation. The relocation process will also be at no cost, the commissioner stated. Speaking, Dr. Ikechukwu Nebo, a stakeholder from Agwawa community, thanks the commissioner for the way things were being resolved so far, affirming that he was sure the governor meant well for the people and the state. He says, quote, Governor Peter Amba promised to carry the people of Agwawa along in what they are doing, and that has been the case. I thank the commissioner for the way and manner this meeting has resolved the issue of old and new. Everybody is happy, he said. Also speaking, Mrs. Ifeanyiwa Ozuaka, a resident of Agwawa, said she would support all government efforts to see that Agwawa is developed, but urged the government to have human face while embarking on the relocation resettlement process. The Commissioner for Lands, Barrister Chimobi Okori, stressed the importance of the verification, assuring the people that it was about openness, taking inventory of what is where, to know who truly owned the property, and to verify property owned by inheritance and others. Meanwhile, the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Legal Matters and Interministerial Relations, Barrister Chuleto Konkwo, assured the stakeholders of our Agwawa community at the meeting that what the Governor was doing was in their best interest and that of the state. Barrister Konkwo says, since May 29, 2023, when Dr. Peter Amba was sworn in as the Governor, all he has been doing is to make Enugu better, both rural and urban areas. Someone asked, why is it only Agwawa that was singled out? But that is not the case. There are about 25 sites, slum areas that will be cleared. We may have started with Agwawa, but we will get to the other 24 sites. It is for the best interest of these 25 areas, Barrister Okonkwo stated. These are some of the details on the latest development out of Enugu today. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Staff Government House, the Honorable Attorney General